Am I the asshole for not defending my mom after she was called out by a fireman to move out the fire lane? On phone, sorry for weird format. My mom has a thing for parking in the fire lane when it came to quick errands, such as going to ATM, shopping, etc. I, being young and observant, knew what she did wasn't very legal, but many attempts to call her out only lead to me being screamed at. For a while I accepted this as we'd never seem to get in trouble, and even some people were doing it too. I was mostly tired of getting yelled at. The first incident that made me frustrated was when she left me and my brother alone in the fire lane to grab something at a store. I was already nervous since she parked behind a car too close to us, leading to the car to hit at the front of our car. Thankfully it wasn't a major and my mother came out as soon as she realized what had happened, but the police were already there and she was rightfully told off for leaving two kids alone in the lane. Yet she only had the look of an annoyed child. As soon as we were on the road again, went on a rant of how much of an idiot he was. Most recent incident: I'm in my 20s and my mother needs to go to the ATM. The parking lot had several spots open for her to park close, a 5-second walk to the ATM, and I point this out only to be ignored, and she, as per usual, parked close where the fire lane resided. Unfortunately for her, that day an off-duty fireman was in line at the ATM. At first he firmly but politely told my mom that she needed to move her car and park in the regular spaces as there can be an emergency anytime. Taking this as an insult, she begins verbally harassing this man, calling him old, and stop shouting, "You're old and you're gonna faint," in a mocking tone to block out anything he said. He certainly was not shouting, but she certainly made him angry, and he in turn began to shout at her, calling her ignorant and rude and to move out of the spot, and her once again mocking his age and his justified anger because, "You'll have a heart attack." I was about ready to tell my mom to move, only for someone else to come into the fireman's defense. A few more people came forward and began calling her out on her crap and to move her car out of the way. There were bystanders, but their glares to my mom were enough for her to finally retreat back to her car, and she drove away red in the face, ranting about how everyone was an idiot. When we got home, she decided to go rant to my grandmother about the idiot fireman who yelled at her for no reason, and people were hanging up on her. I knew she wasn't going to tell her why the fireman was yelling at her, so I gave my shot telling my grandmother, only to quickly get shot down by mom and told I am so quick to defend other people but her, and that I'm ungrateful. I never do anything for her. Care more about strangers online you call friends, etc. I shut my mouth until she was gone and I got to tell my side. She didn't talk to me until the next day after that. She's my mom, but am I really obligated to allow her to be this ignorant? Not the asshole. Your mother's behavior is indefensible and I am sorry for the embarrassment you have been through as a result. Not the asshole. Your mother are endangering other people's life. Not the asshole. Your mom is acting like a 5-year-old throwing a temper tantrum because she didn't get candy from the store. If you can cut her out of her life, you don't owe her anything. Your insecure mother has a pathetic, fragile ego. This person, from what you've told us, is insecure and obsessed with starting drama, a selfish, miserable woman. Not the asshole. But that woman is. Not the asshole. Your mother, on the other hand, needs to start treating others how she would like to be treated and to stop parking in the fire lane. I'm curious about your grandmother's reaction. What did she say? You have acted like a normal, adjusted human being in today's world. Not the asshole. Your mother is in every sense of the word a narcissist. Try checking out R, raised by narcissists for other people like you. You're not alone, growing heart. Not the asshole. You're completely right. Not the asshole. Ignorance is a lack of knowledge. Your mother's behavior is entitled and rude as hell. Am I the asshole for telling my 21 female, sick boyfriend, 22 male, to basically get over it? Hey everyone, using a throwaway for this one because I'm so irritated. Sorry this is long. So my boyfriend and I have been together for almost a year, and went on a trip to NYC for my brother's wedding. Plan was to go up the day before and then stay throughout the week as a pseudo-vacation before we head back to school. Wedding was this past Saturday and we planned to leave this upcoming Saturday. The days leading up, I started feeling sick and immediately got tested twice, which both came back negatives. Since I had a low-grade fever, headache, runny nose and super dry throat, I figured I had whatever cold was running through everyone post-lockdown. Definitely sucked to deal with while getting all of my shit together for the wedding. But I took cold medicine, drank hot water with lemon and carried on. I let my boyfriend and everyone know I was sick as well. Wedding was awesome, and despite me still feeling under the weather, my boyfriend and I had a good time in the city on Sunday. Monday, my boyfriend started showing the same symptoms, so we played it safe and stayed in until his tests came back. Throughout the past 2 days, you would think he was dying of an incurable illness. Absolutely incapacitated and would not stop literally groaning and explaining how bad he felt. I was, of course, super sympathetic because I felt the same way, and still do to an extent, so I told him to take it easy while we stay in. He absolutely would not take any medicine, won't take any hot tea or water for his throat, won't take any sort of fever reducer. Just won't take anything, for seemingly no reason. He then goes on to tell me how much worse this is for him than it was for me, which is like, no? But maybe, since he won't do a thing to help himself out. His tests both came back negative, and he still is choosing to stay bedridden, with no medicine to help him out. Since I'm running around taking care of him, I told him we should probably head home since I didn't want to be in the city where I'm unfamiliar and having to spend a ton on food for us both, when we could be home and more comfy. He says he's too sick to travel on the train. We just got into an argument because I told him that IAL significant other felt horrible but still managed to not only travel and prepare, but also be in a wedding, and that I thought he was overreacting and basically don't want to hear him complain anymore if he won't do or take anything to feel better. He must have felt better because he was able to get up and freak out that I'm being insensitive about him feeling sick. I'm so aggravated because no, I don't feel great, and I'm stuck in a tiny apartment with my boyfriend who won't cut the melodrama enough to make his own soup. And he's mad at me because he thinks I don't believe he feels horrible, which I do. Especially after not treating his symptoms, and since he's been verbally complaining for almost 3 full days. Am I the asshole here? Edit. Yes, I went to my brother's wedding with a cold. It was outdoors, masked, I stayed away from the groupings of people, and left early. Not what my post was about. Welcome to the wonderful experience that is MANFLU. It's a near-deadly affliction that nearly all men suffer through bravely. According to certain sources, 4/3 men surveyed, it is worse than childbirth. And, according to sufferers, the only remedy is loud complaining and pathetic moaning about the lack of sympathy they have to endure. Not the asshole. Not the asshole, but only because he is an idiot for refusing to drink lots of water and take medication. I'm going to say not the asshole, because I sympathize with you. My wife is the exact same way. I will get sick, take some cough medicine, etc., and generally do what I need to do to get better within a few days. My wife will refuse to take anything because she feels like it makes her a weak person to do so, but then be sick for 2 weeks and complain about it the entire time. Going to a wedding to infect everyone. Fuck yeah. Not the asshole. Go out and enjoy the city. Tell him he has 2 options. He can stay home by himself and fend for himself. Or he can quit whining, get his ass out of bed, and go sightseeing with you. Enjoy your mini vacation. Not the asshole. He's refusing to take the things that would help with his cold, and it's just a cold. He's uncomfortable, not dying. You both suck, big time. You went to a wedding, risking to infect others. You realize just because his COVID tests came back negative, he still can be sick, right? Maybe he has the flu. Not the asshole. If you can suck it up, so can he. It's nice that you're being sympathetic and helping him out, but sounds like he's milking the cow dry. Tell him you're tired of being the man of the house. Tears of joy. Am I the asshole for admitting that my parents and niece what are the reason that I left? Throwaway. 29 meters. Have a niece, 19 female. And as the title says, she and my parents are a massive reason why I moved away. When she was a little kid, she was unbelievably disrespectful, and just downright mean. She would literally scream, yell, if no one was around she would cuss at me, and occasionally, she would do random crap that she would have never done if my mother, her grandmother, or her parents were around. For example, she would spit, throw stuff, purposely spill stuff. And if I ever stopped her or told her to stop, she would run to grandma and tell her I was being mean, and I would get in trouble, and if I didn't stop her I would still get in trouble. A month before my 18th birthday, I told my parents that I wanted to visit NYC, and they said that was fine. We lived in South Carolina if that matters, and my niece's birthday was 2 days before mine. 3 days before my birthday, and 2 before we were supposed to leave, I already got my bags packed, and they saved up, booked the tickets, and were ready to go. The next day my parents informed me that we couldn't go because they had planned a huge surprise parties for my niece, but they miscalculated or something, and it was a lot more expensive than they thought. If I remember correctly, it was about $6,000. so they used the money that they saved for the trip on the party. When I asked them why they couldn't just cancel it instead, they got mad. And my dad said I was being an entitled brat, and my mom said I was being selfish for not wanting my niece to enjoy her special day. Well, they didn't cancel it, but instead moved it back by 2 days due to some kind of schedule mix-up. I was honestly tired of their bull, so I moved to New York, and went to college there, and that's where I stayed, and now I'm an attorney with 2 amazing sons. About 2 weeks ago, I got a phone call from an uncle about a family reunion. It was a couple of days ago. I thought it would be nice for my sons to meet some of their family members. If I recall correctly, the only people they know are the people who moved up to New York, which is a couple of my cousins and my younger brother. So, we went, and when I saw my niece, she acted the same as she did before. Later in the evening, my aunt asked why I moved to New York. My mother answered for me, saying that it was so I could go to college. I found it unbelievably amusing that she thought after all these years that was the reason, so I started laughing uncontrollably. My mother asked why I was laughing, so I told her that NYU wasn't one of the reasons why I left, and it was because they were crappy parents who loved and cared about their shitty granddaughter more than their son, and my niece was, and is still, the perfect combination between a crotch goblin, a brat, and a shit stain. My mother called me an ungrateful, disrespectful brat, and my brother and Sil were pissed. I was a little pissed myself, so I just left. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. And great timing before niece invited herself to visit NYC now that she's an adult. Not the asshole. The only issue here is the delay. Couldn't you have told them sooner what you thought about their parenting? That putting your niece first, and their son second, was a failure in itself? Glad you got your life together. Not the asshole. But seriously dude, you're an attorney. You couldn't think of a better way to convey your point while still being a cutting insult. 4/10 for sloppy work. But only because of the way you phrased it. If you'd have said something like, I actually left because I couldn't put up with niece's behavior, and everyone else happily enabling that behavior at the expense of my happiness and well-being, then it would have been a clear-cut not the asshole. But the phrasing you used there wasn't necessary. IMHO. How on earth could a party cost this much? I don't believe it. Everyone sucks here. You could have made a very impactful statement, but instead you came across as immature and nasty. I understand if you truly feel that way about those people. I just think you wasted an opportunity for real conversation and possible reconciliation. Not the asshole, and I'm not even mad that you used a sloppy insult because she deserved it. You are the asshole troll. Am I the asshole for snapping at my friend over kiwis? I, 30 female, have celiac disease. My friend, Todd, 32 male, is allergic to kiwis. It sucks, but most people really do not understand celiac, like at all. They don't understand just how many things have hidden gluten, or they don't get how huge of an issue cross-contamination is. And since I don't drop dead on the spot if I do get glutened, there can be a misconception that it's not as dangerous or painful as it really is. I have 3 people in my life that I trust to cook for me, and I'm honestly lucky to have that many. A few months ago, Todd bought his first house and had a housewarming barbecue. He came up to me with a big smile and let me know that he made gluten-free chicken for me. I don't want to sound ungrateful. I really do appreciate when people try to include me. But at the same time, I wish they wouldn't. It's so uncomfortable to have to question them about what they used and then still have to turn it down because they used soy sauce or something. People take it personally. They hear, you didn't do a good enough job. It sucks to hurt people's feelings. So I knew what was coming, but if I didn't ask, he'd expect me to eat. I asked what the ingredients were and he said, just barbecue sauce and chicken. I made the sauce myself. I asked what was in the sauce and he started listing ingredients. One was Worcestershire sauce, which is often made with barley and/or malt vinegar. I asked if he knew if it was gluten-free Worcestershire sauce and he rolled his eyes at me before asking if I was going to make a thing out of this. I didn't want to start asking to see bottles because this was awkward enough already, so I politely explained that I didn't think I'd be able to eat it if I couldn't be sure. He was irritated but seemed to get over it. Except he hasn't. He later told my boyfriend that I purposefully humiliated him by asking him questions that he didn't know and I should have just eaten it because a little bit wouldn't even hurt me anyway. Which is not true at all, and my boyfriend told him so. I see him maybe 2 times a month in group settings. Anything I bring, potato salad, chips, even fucking bourbon, is met with a very dramatic, I can't eat that, there might be kiwis in it. He never did this before the barbecue and doesn't do this to anyone else. It's obvious that it's intended to get back at me for not eating his chicken and not out of legit concern that I'm hiding kiwi in the guacamole. I also don't like to speculate on other people's health, but I've watched him pick kiwi out of fruit salad before eating it, so it would seem that cross-contamination is not a concern for him. He did it this weekend when I showed up to our mutual friend's house with snacks. I finally snapped and told him that no, there was no kiwi because unlike him, I was willing to take a moment to read labels in order to protect the people around me. He got mad and left. Some people there told me I should have just let it go, but I just got so fed up in the moment. As a New Zealander whose national bird the kiwi is protected, no one should be eating kiwis. I agree a flightless bird is kinda useless, but don't eat them. EDT thanks for the lovely awards but still refrain from eating kiwis, human or bird. Edit not the asshole. Not the asshole. I should have just eaten it because a little bit wouldn't even hurt me anyway. Why are people always like this? Sigh. Not the asshole. He took what was an honest mistake on his part and tried to make himself a victim, martyr. But I like to picture you hiding a single slice of kiwi in your potato salad, twisting your silent movie villain mustache and going, mahahaha. Not the asshole, he's being oversensitive. If he mentions kiwis again, just agree with him that he shouldn't eat food if he can't be sure it doesn't contain something he can't eat. He can't argue with that, and your conflict-avoidant friends can't blame you for his actions if he gets upset about you being supportive. Oh please. Your friend is ridiculous. I have multiple food allergies, pineapple, strawberries, nuts, and a few other fruits, and it's still much harder to be gluten-free when you have celiac than when you have a nut, fruit allergy. Gluten is in so many things. Occasionally, fruit pops up in something weird, but usually you only have to worry about dessert and cocktails. This guy is incredibly insensitive. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. You absolutely do not need to. Are your health at risk or of politeness? I would just make a habit out of telling people before going to their event that you will be bringing your own food, and they shouldn't feel any need to accommodate you by preparing special food. Not the asshole. You would think that as someone with an allergy he would be a little more understanding. I'm constantly asking people about ingredients due to my crustacean allergy. Marinades, dips, and buffets are always dangerous. Also, cooking for someone with an allergy like this means asking questions. I had a friend with a soy and nightshade allergy stay with me recently. I told her my planned menu, and she told me about stuff to watch for and which brands she used. It involved a lot of reading labels and texting her questions, but it worked out. Not the asshole. Unless you know someone with full-blown celiac, you just don't get it. My best friend is super sensitive like you. Once somebody switched the salad tongs for the salad with croutons for the salad without, and 20 minutes later she is on the bathroom floor passed out. She tends to have really severe fainting spells whenever something is contaminated. My worst nightmare is hurting her, so I triple-check ingredients before I even offer her something, and I am never offended when she looks herself. A true friend would be on guard to protect you, not make fun of you. Drop this guy, he is not your friend and you deserve better.